Welcome back to another episode of Two Average Husbands. I'm your host, Jake.
And I'm your host, Kyle. Welcome back, everybody. I'm going to drink this episode. It's been a few episodes, so we'll see how this goes. But on that note, Jake, what are you drinking this week?
Before I introduce my first beer, I'm going to do
Nope, too late.
my fun fact of the week, which has to do with beer.
Oh, okay. All right.
Did you know that Barack Obama brewed his own beer while in the White House?
I did know that, actually, yes. I don't think he's the only one that's done that either.
He is not, but because of the uprising of breweries across the country, he wanted to do it as a way basically to tell people to try brewing their own beer. Per himself in an interview, per the link that I read, because I didn't watch the interview. But Barack Obama brewed his own beer in the White House.
Obama.
What he did not brew, though, was this lovely Ice Party, which is a grape slushy style sour from Drecker Brewing, which, as many people may know, is probably my favorite brewery in the entire world. And if I lived in Fargo, North Dakota, I would go bankrupt at this place.
I see the Flight Bottle Shop that you have. That I see their posts on Instagram, and some of their stuff looks really fucking good.
Everything that they get is like... That's where I was telling Kyle before the podcast. He hasn't drank since the last time he was on the podcast because he was sick. But I was there on Sunday, and it's like you literally just pick whatever you want, and it's good. You just, even if you don't like the style of beer, you just get it, and it's probably good because the people who like own the place, ironically enough, used to work at one of the schools that I used to work at. They're the like head of aviation. The head of the aviation department at the school is the owner of Flight Bottle Shop. So already kind of knew him from that. Didn't even know he owned the place when I started going there. But him and his neighbor started this place. All four people, all different beer tastes, but everything they bring in is delicious. It's awesome.
There's a couple places that are kind of like that, but most of them aren't like bottle shops around me. It's just like places that have shit on tap, which is fine for the most part. But anyway.
What are you drinking, Kyle?
I have one beer that's been sitting in my fridge that's been begging to be drank. I thought I had two. I only had one, and then I have something of Carly's that I'm going to drink second. But I'm going to start off with, and I'm really, to be honest, their packaging makes me not want this beer, which is kind of sad.
Good.
It's just like, it's so boring.
Sometimes that's needed, though. Not everything has to be a great label.
I don't know. But anyway, I'm going to have a Jackrabbit Brewing Company chocolate oatmeal stout as my first.
It sounds good.
It sounds good, and I actually really do like oatmeal stouts. So I don't know why I'm just like not looking forward to this specifically. Hopefully it's good. And then my next one is going to be not a good mix with this. Packaging really is like huge.
It really is. And that's one thing I do like about Drecker. Like, these cans are sick. Like, look at that. Look at the level of detail that is on this label. And this company pumps out beers. Like, they always have new stuff. And everything that they do is good. Like, it's so rare to find a brewery, in my opinion, that pumps out new things as quickly as they do and do them that well.
Well, yeah. All right, Jake. We've introduced beers. You've done your fun fact. That means it is time for your first topic.
It is. And I tried to start this fight on Twitter today, and it did not go in my favor. So we're just going to shit talk things because I feel like arguing today. I don't know why. I had a really good day. I need some controversy to stir it up, make it a little more fun.
Okay.
Uncle Kyle, this is not the one you sent me a picture of, but I did have that beer on Sunday at Flight. It was pretty good. Jess ended up stealing it from me because she liked it more than I did, though. But I tried to start a fight. I think Titanic is one of the most overrated movies of all time. I think
you do think that. We've talked about
terrible.
This before.
I think it's not a good movie in any way, shape, or form. So, Kyle, I'm going to give us a few different series, things, topics. Dave, this is my regular room. You just have not watched the podcast in a few weeks. So this is where we go now.
You've been absent recently, Dave.
You have, unfortunately. Or fortunately. Maybe you needed the time to yourself, and that's okay.
Just time away from us. And I take that personally.
So I'm going to give us a few different things, and we're going to name our most overrated thing in that category or just something that we do not like in that category.
All right.
We're going to start with movies. I think Titanic is the most overrated movie of all time. What do you think is the most overrated movie of all time?
Okay. Shoot, man. I'd almost have to like look at like what are like the top rated movies of all time to see if I think like one of them is like by far like the most overrated in my opinion.
I got you. Don't worry.
I'm blanking on the name of the movie. It's and I'm sure Carly and other people will be mad at me for saying it, but there's one of those like Nicholas Sparks or whatever movies. What's like one of the most famous?
Notebook?
The Notebook.
Yeah.
That movie is so fucking overrated.
You take that fucking back right now.
And I know like that's probably gonna irritate some people, but I'm not really into that type of movie. So like I think the storyline's like decent for what it's worth for like that genre, but it's just not for me. So
yeah,
I think
makes
that
sense.
is relatively overrated.
So if we go through the top rated movies on IMDb of all time,
Let me pull it up. That way you don't have to like read it out loud.
Oh, well, just so the people know, I'll read it anyway. The Shawshank Redemption, The Godfather, Dark Knight, Godfather 2, 12 Angry Men, Schindler's List, Lord of the Rings, Return of the King, Pulp Fiction, Lord of the Rings, Fellowship of the Ring.
It does surprise me a little bit that
The
Return
Good,
of
the
King
Bad,
is
and
so
the
much
Ugly.
higher than. I guess it's not.
If I haven't watched them in a long time. That's what I need to do. Jess has never seen them, so I need to make her watch them and rewatch them to reform this opinion. I remember liking the second one more, but I also think I like the third one more than I like the second one.
The third one is
the first
like,
one.
I think there's the most like, if you take away like some of the more well-known like Helm's Deep and stuff like that from the other movies, I think the most like concentrated action of like consistent shit happening in any of those movies is probably Return of the King, because the rest of them, like a lot of it's not like action per se, it's more story. So I think if you're like really into the action piece, then you might not like it as much. Dude, I love all of these movies that are in the top, at least the ones I've seen.
This like IMDb is hard because these are all like,
I think these are pretty well rated. Yeah.
If I have to scroll down to a movie that I have seen that I think is overrated, I don't think Gladiator should be in like the top 40 movies of all time. I think that's pretty fair. It's good, but I don't think it's a top 40 movie of all time. Carly says Top Gun.
She hates Top Gun.
I don't totally disagree with her. I don't hate it, but I don't ever want to rewatch Top Gun.
I do.
No, that's the least shocking thing I've ever heard you
Top Gun's
say.
good. And like, so Carly saw Top Gun Maverick before she saw Top Gun, which I think is part of the problem.
That could be part of the problem.
So now she like goes back and sees it and she's just like, this sucks. And I'm like, yeah, but like you have to like put it in perspective, like the time that came out and everything like that. So, okay, I've got mine. And it took me until 91 to figure out the movie that I think is most overrated on this list. So that's saying something. Damn, I didn't know Top Gun Maverick, Speak of the Devil, is in the top 100 of all time already. That's pretty impressive. Anyway, at number 91, my brother one time told me that I needed to watch this movie. And I was like, all right, I'll buy in. I'll watch this movie. What is it? And then I watched it. And it took me like holding my fucking eyes open basically to finish this movie because it did not connect with me whatsoever. And that is 2001: A Space Odyssey. Not for me. It's a 1968 movie. I think maybe I just didn't get it. Maybe I was like, I didn't connect with it enough and I need to watch it again. But for right now, that is the first one on this list that I'm like, this shouldn't be here. But everybody loves that movie. I just don't get it.
I haven't watched it in long enough to form a valid opinion on it, so I'll stay quiet here and just move us on to the next topic.
Okay.
What do you think is the most overrated musical artist of all time? I have a very strong take on this one too.
Yeah. Okay. It's weird because like I think I've adapted my music taste to like be more accommodating towards some artists now than I used to be probably because like I didn't used to like rap at all, right? So like some of those like artists that are like huge, I used to think were like some of the most overrated of all time. Like I remember being in high school and like really, really getting fucking sick of the fact that everybody was into like Lil Wayne because I was like, I don't fucking get it. And like the older I've gotten, the more I've gotten into that type of music, and so like I understand it more now. But like when I was in high school, I probably would have said that. I probably would have said like Lil Wayne might be the most overrated person of all time. I don't say that anymore, but I would have then. Yeah. Now it might be Taylor Swift. People aren't gonna like that either.
That's hotter than mine, I think.
I'm not a Swiftie, so.
Carly also doesn't know where I am, by the way. She's also confused by the backdrop. So thanks for telling me you guys tune in regularly. Appreciate the love.
I understand the talent that she has and like singer-songwriter, does a lot of her own shit. Like, I get it. I understand why people like Taylor Swift. But I listen to that music and I'm like, stop. Just turn it off. So, yeah, that's probably mine.
For me, it's the Beatles. I can't get into the music.
That did pop into my brain, but it's not because I think like them as a whole. Well, okay, there are certain songs of theirs that I actually really do enjoy, and I think belong in like the discography of like putting them into that tier of like of all time. But I think as a whole, there are plenty of their songs that I'm just like, no, I'm not into this. So I don't totally disagree with you, but
like if I never heard a Beatles song again, I'd be
Metallica.
okay. I like Metallica.
I think they might be one of the most overrated of all time because Metallica's fine, right? Like, I think there are so many bands out there that are just so much better than Metallica. Like when I hear Enter Sandman for the fucking 8 millionth time,
Okay, yeah,
because that's the only one that Metallica knows. And I'm just
It's
like,
not the only one they know.
how do people still play this fucking song? You know, I don't know.
Rolling
I've
Stones-
never been a big fan of.
Dave, the Rolling Stones do clear the Beatles. That's not even
Rolling Stones are good.
a controversial take for me. That one's just pretty clear. What's your most overrated restaurant? Mine's
You go
Subway.
first on this one. Subway? Okay.
Yeah,
Dude, I don't
think
like Subway. You know I don't like Subway.
People people get mad about the $5 foot long not causing $5 foot long, and my question is always, why are you at Subway? You could pick anything to eat. Go to Jewel, go to a fucking your local grocery store with a deli. Just grab the stale 25-cent piece of bread and ask for just like 3 random cuts of meat and some cheese, and it's better than Subway.
Yeah. Uncle Kyle, no, stop it.
Couldn't even do it the favor of spelling it right. Subway used to be my road trip meal. It is Jess's road trip meal. I'm a McDonald's boy, but
Yuck.
Jess will pretty much always get Subway.
Uncle Kyle, I might just have to ban you from the chat.
Can we time
Chick-fil-A is so
mods?
good.
Can we time him out?
And are we those people?
We're the mods.
Are we-
We're the mods.
Oh, okay, all right.
It's just us.
Yeah, no, I don't know, dude. I'm not. This is a tough one because the things that pop into my brain right away are like seafood places because I hate seafood. That's the only reason though, right? Like I think Long John Silver's is super overrated, or maybe it used to be. I guess it's not as popular anymore. Or like Red Lobster. I fucking hate Red Lobster, but I don't eat seafood, so that's tough for me.
I'm actually going to change my answer. No, I'm going to make it a separate thing. I'm going to call Subway fast food. So most overrated fast food. You would say probably Long John
McDonald's.
Silver's.
McDonald's.
McDonald's. I think McDonald's is fair. If
Yeah.
I'm being if I'm being objective, it's a fair answer. I can't, even though I love McDonald's, I can't get mad at it. Most overrated sit down restaurant, Olive Garden. Olive Garden is trash.
Okay. I can't believe you didn't say the one that you probably should have said here, and I might steal it from you just in a second, and then you're going to be like, oh, I should have said that. But Olive Garden, I have to agree with you as an Olive Garden fan. And there's only a few things that I really like there, but especially because the older I swear that we get, the worse that place gets.
Thank you.
Yet people still are really into it. Like Carly and I used to be able to go there and we'd get, I can't remember if it was like the equivalent of like a, that's exactly Uncle Kyle, what I was going to say. And I can't believe Jake didn't say it, but I'll talk about it in a second.
I don't think people rate that highly though.
Some people do, but I think that Olive Garden used to have like, it was essentially like the you pick two of like Applebee's or whatever,
Yeah.
where you could get like a pretty good deal if you got two entrees or whatever at like, and I think it was lunchtime maybe or whatever. But like Carly and I used to be able to get like both could get like chicken Alfredo, which is like mighty mediocre there, but it's pretty decent. You know, we could get that. And then they started like progressively like taking away options.
Yeah.
Oh, it was like build your own pasta. That's what it was. But we would always just make chicken Alfredo.
The only thing that they ever did that I will respect them for is they did like the like order one, take one thing where you could get the entree and then it would give you an order of it to take home too.
Yeah.
Like that was pretty cool. You got
didn't
double the
last very long.
food for the price of one.
Yeah. But no, so they made it so like chicken cost extra, and then they took away certain types of noodles, and then they took away certain types of sauce, and it was just like, what are you fucking doing?
It's like, all right, just tell me I can get like a double order of spaghetti next time.
Yeah.
'Cause
But
that's
I
what
am a
you're
big
giving
fan of Olive Garden Zupa. So I have a special place in my heart for Olive Garden. But Applebee's
like
is
their
probably
baked
like
ziti.
the worst.
I like their baked ziti and I like their breadsticks. And
Carly might have to
thread.
like chime in the chat because I'm sure there's a place that I like complain about. I'm like, how do people like this? And it's just not popping into my head right away. Next.
What is the most overrated television show of all time?
Maybe Friends.
It is Friends.
Yeah. Probably Friends.
To answer differently from you, my number 2 most overrated show of all time is South Park.
Okay. I'll buy
It's
that.
just not like it used to be funny.
The Simpsons?
Then I prefer The Simpsons to South Park. I prefer Family Guy to The Simpsons.
I think
prefer
Family
Rick
Guy's
and
my
Morty to
favorite,
all.
but that's because I liked Family Guy. I connect the most with that from like growing up. Like I watched
Yeah.
South Park growing up, but I think at the time like I didn't get the jokes.
Yeah.
I like thought it was funny because they made like fart jokes with like
Yeah,
Terrence
it's like
and
the
Phillip when I was a
crude
kid,
humor.
but I didn't understand like the political nature of South Park or like any of those cartoons for what it's worth. And now I appreciate them all a little bit more for that. Like I still enjoy watching
Right.
South Park. I get some really good fucking laughs out of that. I still like Family Guy, and like rewatching that shit makes it even funnier for me now. Uncle Kyle, you're wrong. The Office is a good show.
The Office is great.
One that I like devil's advocate with myself on this because it was very highly rated. I think at least at the time, maybe not so much anymore, but it's I think one of the most watched series of all time. Again, I could just be saying like made up statistics here, but How I Met Your Mother might be one of the most overrated series of all time.
Yeah, I really enjoy How I Met Your Mother, but I do think people overhype it. Like
I
it
just
shouldn't be in your
remember
top
the
5
hype
shows.
for that when it was like airing.
Yeah.
I was like, dude. I remember like walking into my roommate's room at the time because I was in college when it was airing like the later seasons or whatever. I walked into his room and he's watching it. I was like, how do you watch a show where they never leave the bar? Because they're just always there.
I mean,
Like there's a couple like
was
I've seen
basically
the show
Cheers.
now and I did like the story eventually, but Letterkenny's not trash. Carly, although the new season's not great.
I haven't
so-
watched it yet. Don't spoil it for me.
I
But Letterkenny is not trash. Neither is The Office.
Letterkenny's good. It's there's a personality that goes with certain types of television shows.
Yeah,
and
you-
Letterkenny's one of those ones where if you don't get it, you are so out on it that it's not
Yeah.
even funny. And I totally understand that opinion as well. But I am one of the people that enjoy Letterkenny. I think it's fucking hilarious. So
Last up, quick one. Most overrated entree of all time. Pasta and thread. Any
I like
pasta
pasta.
dish. Pick something better. You can do it, I promise.
most overrated entree. My mind always goes to seafood, but I don't like it. And I know that's not like anybody else's fault. That's just me not liking it. So I don't like to use that as an example of anything like that. Chicken is probably it. Carly's probably right. Like just like
Yeah.
chicken
Like a
in
plain
general.
chicken breast. Yeah.
Because chicken sucks.
Chicken thighs are really good.
Chicken sucks.
Chicken thighs are really good. I'll stick to that.
It's just so fucking boring.
Yeah, but
You can church up
do,
chicken as much as you want, and it's never going to be good as a steak. Like,
and you don't even like
chicken-
steak, so
you're right. And chicken is just bad. Especially if you get like a gristly fucking like full of tendon chicken. Like it's just gross.
get better chicken. I don't know.
It does always surprise me, and I don't understand how this works. That when I go to a restaurant and get chicken, it doesn't matter how well I cook my chicken at home because I've tried thermometering it, like getting it to the perfect temperature. It doesn't matter how well I do of cooking the chicken. It's never as good as like a restaurant chicken breast. Somehow their quality, which is funny to me because some of these places have like shit quality chicken. I'm sure. Like if we went to Applebee's and got a chicken breast, like the quality of that is probably dog shit. And yet somehow it's like more tender and better than mine. I don't know.
I'm gonna need a culinary school to sponsor us now because Kyle is proving the value of culinary school.
Oh yeah, dude. Like I definitely appreciate people that can cook because I sure as shit can't. Like I am a dog shit cook.
I think it's fine.
I overcook everything because I'm like paranoid of like
I'm the opposite.
foodborne illness.
I'm like, give me the food poisoning. I don't
Ugh.
care.
Steak is the only thing that I now as an adult will eat under like a fully cooked temperature.
Under burnt, yeah. All
could
right. Yeah, the brining process definitely does help. That makes sense.
Yeah, okay. That's
All
good.
right. That's it. It's topic
Got
number
nothing
one.
else to say about that.
Fight with us in the comments. Let us know how much you hate our takes. That's what we're here for. Kyle, you're up.
Yep. Okay, I made a whole list of things when I was sitting there. So I'm going to start off with the one that I think Carly wanted to hear the most, or she suggested this one to me, and I'm supposed to credit something that I refuse to credit that starts with a T and ends with a K, and I'm not going to give them the credit that they want and that she wants me to give them. So Jake,
Yeah, what's up?
I want you to draw a comparison in your life
Okay.
to something biblical. And that thing is Jesus invites people to dine with him, or however that fucking shit goes, because I'm not religious. And he gives them the body of Christ, and it's bread. And he gives them the blood of Christ, and it's wine. What is your body of Jake and blood of Jake if you had to serve somebody it?
Ooh.
But it has to like fit to the type of person that you are.
That's a good question.
It's pretty good. It's hard to think about though, because it's like you can't just
So,
be
like-
like, I like pizza, so I'm pizza. It has to be who you are, not what you like.
I think what most accurately represents me in terms of food would be chicken. Because I can be very, very boring. You can spice me up, though. I can have a good time. You can get creative with me. I can be a little spicy, be a little tangy, be a little sharp, be a little mushy, be a little overcooked. But I'm consistent. I'm always there. I'm always on time.
I
If
don't
you
think
need
chicken's
something-
consistent.
Chicken is very consistent. You know what you're getting with chicken. You're never like
kind
you're-
of.
If you get a steak at a restaurant, right?
Yeah.
If they give you an unseasoned, partially cooked steak, it tastes like ass.
But if
No
you
matter
get
how
a
much more
partially
you-
cooked, under-seasoned chicken breast, it doesn't
Listen to me.
taste shitty.
They never undercook chicken in a restaurant. Rarely. They
That's so not true.
I've never gotten undercooked chicken in a
I
restaurant.
have. Yeah, I have
I
definitely.
definitely haven't. But
Dude, so we used to be able to get like I had a job when I was working in Florida. We would get they do like Chick-fil-A runs in the morning sometimes, and it was like Fridays. You could get like a Chick-fil-A sandwich, and they would just like buy a whole bag of them. One time we got like fully undercooked Chick-fil-A sandwiches.
that's
It was
impressive.
fucking gross.
I love it.
And I don't think
Imagine being the
that's
first
healthy.
guy to bite into it.
Yeah,
Um,
disgusting.
But yeah, I think chicken is a very accurate representation of me. Also, like I really mostly eat meat. I eat a lot of chicken. But also, like if you go to a restaurant and get a chicken sandwich, you know what you're gonna get. It's very rare that a chicken sandwich is that different from if you get like a grilled chicken breast on a sandwich. It's very rare that it's different restaurant to restaurant. I'm just saying, it's very consistent.
I don't agree with you, but I understand what you're going for here.
Yeah, you get the point I'm trying to make, even if you disagree. But I would say that chicken is probably the most accurate bread of Jake reference I can make.
Okay. I kept it in the carb category, and that's nice. Muted burp number 1.
No, it's like muted burp number 9.
I missed the first few. So Carly and she brought this topic up, and I was like, man, that's kind of hard for me to figure out. And so I have to again credit her because she's the one that said this. But she goes, I can't remember what she said first. She said something, and I was like, nah. And then she goes, you know what you're like? You're like a tortilla chip. And I was like, I thought about it for a second, and I was like, you know what? You're right. I am like a tortilla chip.
I'm a fucking tortilla chip.
Because not only am I relatively plain, but I'm also pretty salty. And I can get really grumpy and like, you have
So really,
your-
you're a saltine cracker.
No. No, I'm not quite that level.
You break
of
down pretty
boring.
easily.
I don't think that's true. I'm a tortilla chip, Jake. And so, kind of like you said with chicken, right? I might be boring and bland and grumpy, but at the same time, you dip me in salsa once a month and there's a little party. You know what I mean? You hit the Mexican restaurant, you get the tortilla chip with the salsa once a month, and things get a little better, right? So, I have my moments, right? Infrequent, but when you have the moment, it's a good moment. So,
I like it.
tortilla chip.
That's-
Plus, every once in a while, you can get the hint of lime or the hint of jalapeno or those fucking queso Tostinos that came out.
Those are pretty
Shit,
good.
those were fucking good. So, like, you get your intermittent moments here and there with a little bit of variety. But for the most part, I'm just a bland, salty, consistent.
I like it. That's good. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
we're saying the same thing here, right? We're using different vessels,
Tortilla
but we're
chip.
the same thing. If we go over to the blood, it's probably energy drinks.
Okay.
Not for everybody. but the people who like
That's
them
good,
love
yeah.
them. Sometimes, you can get them super sweet. You can get the 0-calorie ones. So sometimes they're a little bit healthy, a little bit less sweet. Sometimes you drink one, you're like, God, this sucks. Sometimes you meet me and you're like, God, this guy fucking sucks. Sometimes you have one, you're like, friend for life. This is my go-to, my 101. And that's where I'm at. And I have a crippling addiction to energy drinks, and I have been suffering because I'm trying to break it, but I magically buy a couple every time I go to the store for the next day.
You know who I think would be like represented most by energy drinks? I think it would be people that do MLMs. Because there's constantly new gimmicks for energy drinks coming out. There's always the new fucking, we do this. We give you wings. We do this. We're an energy sub. Like there's always that new little gimmick with an energy drink. And some of them are good. Some of them are bad, right? But it doesn't matter. Because every time a new one comes out, it's gimmicky at first. Like they have to come out with some niche way to enter the market.
So let me argue that instead of energy drinks, I think what you're looking at is sports drinks. Your Gatorade, your Powerade, your Prime, which is Logan Paul's brand. Every company that's ever done one of those, it's the same thing. It is flavored water with salt in it.
Yeah.
It's the same thing every time, but you buy into the hype. I think that's a better description of MLMs.
Yeah. Uncle Kyle said, but energy
He
drinks
said
actually
pork chop
work.
and a Coke Zero, but an energy drink does work.
Yeah. Uncle Kyle, I'd like to hear your reasoning behind the pork chop and the Coke Zero, but
I get what he's saying with the energy drink, as opposed to an MLM scheme, because MLMs don't work.
I totally get what he's
energy
saying, but it's
drinks
just
do.
like that resonates with me to connect those two.
I like it. It's not the worst thing you've ever compared.
Thank you. I appreciate that. That's a compliment, I think.
That's basically
okay.
my go-to line
So
with you now.
Carly and I are sitting there, and I said, well, what's my blood? And she goes, this one was easier, and I kind of just agreed with her right off the bat. The blood of me, if I was going to serve it to you today, is Michelob Ultra.
Yep, knew that was coming.
Michelob
from a
Ultra
mile
runs
away.
through the veins. You know what I mean? It already exists there, so I might as well just make it true. Again, kind of boring,
But also
but delicious,
consistent,
consistent.
never misses.
It'll
I've
eventually...
never-
Someday you're going to have a good time with it. You might have to drink a lot of it to get there, but you're going to have a good time.
I have never had a skunked out Michelob Ultra in my entire life. Tap, off,
don't know that I
from
have
the
either.
tap, bottle, can, does not matter. Never had a bad one. I've had plenty of Miller
Yeah.
Lite. It's the best beer if it's the right temperature. It's the worst beer if it's the wrong temperature. Bud Light, meh.
Gross.
Busch Light, meh. Coors Light, meh. Everything else, kind of meh. But Michelob Ultras are always
just
what
doing
you
a
need
good
them.
job.
They're always what you need them to be.
They're hard working, man. They're working for you.
They're blue
That's me.
collar.
I'm just fucking grinding away.
There's a
Trying to-
reason.
Trying to keep it light, you know?
There's a reason that golfers love themselves a little Mick Ultra.
yeah.
It's consistent, unlike their golf game.
Yeah.
They're looking for some consistency when they get to the course because Lord knows it's not their swing.
Yeah. And maybe you just need a couple of those to hang out with me. Maybe that's why it's my thing.
Hey,
but either
man.
way, it's in the blood. It's Mick Ultra for me. Consistent, delicious, crisp, fresh. Probably none of those things are describing me, but at the same time, you'll have
And
a good
only
time.
95 calories.
And only 95 calories. Okay, Uncle Kyle says pork chop because he's been a plain fat guy his whole life. Jesus. And Coke Zero because it's what you end up drunk as a... What? Because it's what
you end up drinking.
drunk as a lifetime fat kid. LOL. Gotcha. Connecting the dots now. Okay.
You do drink a lot of Coke Zero if you grew up fat like I did. That's the truth.
I'm not a soda person. Never have been. I wonder what Carly's would be. I bet hers is... She's going to like this if I try to figure it out for her.
I was actually going to ask you what Carly's was. So this is
Okay, I think Carly's has to be... Her blood, she might not like this, would be Dr. Pepper. Not because she likes Dr. Pepper, but because she's creative. Dr. Pepper might be one of the most unique sodas on the market.
facts.
Delicious. She's delicious. Colorful. Vibrant. Creative. If I didn't already say that. Did I say that first?
I think so.
Anyway, that's Carly's. Carly's blood.
You'll go out of your way for a good Dr. Pepper.
You will. You will go out of your way.
And for me, if I ever wanted to hang out with Carly, I literally would have to go out my way because
That's
you
true.
guys live across the country.
That is true. It's like a nice little reward. You go to the fridge, get yourself a Dr. Pepper. It's just sweet, delicious.
Nice little D&P.
I don't even like soda.
That's a
I
good
don't
one.
know what her food would be, though.
Jess would definitely be a bottle of red wine. She fits the wine kind of to a T.
Fermented.
Sometimes good, sometimes bad. Can't let it go too long.
Oh, man.
Once it's open?
Shit. Oh, yeah. Okay. Once it's open. Okay.
Getting better with age. Love you, honey.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. And then for food, hers would definitely be like I'm trying. Oh, hers is
Food's
her
tough.
food's a little bit harder.
Food is harder. I don't know if I have an answer for that right now.
Oh,
I'll
I
think
got
about
one.
it. I'll steal
Oh,
one.
I've got the perfect one for Jess. A bagel.
Okay.
If you have a plain bagel, you still have a good bagel, right? Assuming it's a good bagel.
That is true.
If Jess doesn't do like if Jess just has a chill night, just a chill day with Jess, it's a good time. But if you start to get the, Asiago, cinnamon crisp, you get a little chocolate chip bagel, blueberry, get some nice cream cheese, you can spice up the day with Jess and you still have a great time. It doesn't matter what you're doing with Jess. If Jess is around, it's good. Much like a bagel, cream cheese by itself is not very good. But if you have cream cheese and a bagel,
That's true.
it's good. So even if you're doing something you don't like to do with Jess, it's a good time.
Oh, man. I don't know. This is a tough one.
Carly said a lemon drop because I'm sour, then sweet and colorful. That makes
Yeah.
sense.
Is the colorful when you throw it up? I don't know. I don't know that a lemon drop is like colorful. That's not what I think of when I think of a lemon drop. Maybe when
Well-
well, I'm thinking of lemon drop shots too, not the candy, so that's different, I guess. All right. Give me a minute. I'll think on the food.
All right.
I'm gonna pause there for now on
Rate your beer.
that. Okay. 5 scale. 5 scale, 5 scale, 5 scale. 2.
We can not do the 5 scale and just put it on the app as a 5 scale.
3.0. It's pretty
3.0?
decent. It's not bad.
Mine is a
It's a
3.
decent sub.
See, this is where the 4 point or the scale gets hard. I'll go 4. I'll go 4. I wish I could do like 4.1 because I would give this an 8.2, but it's very good. Really no complaints. You would even like it. Can't tell it's sour.
Okay.
If you like grape, you would like that.
All right. Okay. All right. All right. Okay.
Next up for me, by Drecker again. I got plenty of these Drecker beers. I got to start getting the ones out of here so I can get new ones to put in there. It is their Brains series, and it is blackberry, cherry, and plum, and it is a double fruit smoothie sour.
Double fruit smoothie.
Double fruit smoothie. Boom, boom, boom. The gimmicks in the beer, because they call out their flavorings as gimmicks because they know it's gimmicky beer. Blackberry, more blackberry, cherry, more cherry, plum. Can you guess the next one? More plum, sea salt, lactose, vanilla.
Okay. That doesn't sound like something that I would enjoy at all, to be honest.
This is one of
with you.
those. Gotta give it a little swirl.
That doesn't sound good to me at all.
This is.
I'm only halfway done with this beer, by the way,
delicious.
so I'm not going to move on to my next one yet. But Jake, what's your second topic?
So, Kyle,
I got to think on this.
this one's a little more serious. All right.
Serious, I'm ready.
Tonight, before I go to bed,
Okay.
I'm going to take anti-anxiety meds for the first time in 10 years.
Are you?
Yep.
Okay.
Do you think that I need to be medicated from what you know of me?
No, I don't. But dude, okay. This is an interesting conversation, actually. I think this is a good topic because it's like when it comes to things like anxiety or depression or anything else, right? Like, I think people, first of all, I think people talk about it more, which is good. But I also think it's like the invisible thing. I don't know how to describe it. Like, I think it's been described this way before. I'm just thinking of, not the words aren't coming to my brain right now, but it's like I don't want to say it's like the invisible killer or anything like that, right? Like that might be
It's
depression.
an
I guess,
invisible
if you wanna-
illness. You know, it's
but
something
it's-
you don't see.
unless someone talks about it, you might not notice it, right?
Right.
Or if you're not very very familiar with somebody, then it's hard to notice, the outward symptoms of this sometimes. And for me, even like with people that I do know, like I don't see it. Like I know people that suffer from some pretty intense anxiety, and like I don't see it until I hear, like Carly, for example, will point out like certain aspects about somebody that's like having this issue, and I'm like, oh shit, I see that now. Like I understand how that is a reaction to severe anxiety. You know what I mean? Like things that I just wouldn't necessarily perceive it that way. So it's difficult for, maybe not for everybody. For me, it's hard to see the outward symptoms of that. So, so my answer to you is no, but that's because like I don't see, and maybe this is a product of just like the relationship that you and I have together, where like maybe you're not that anxious around me. I don't know, but either way, it's like, and that I think that's probably true of some people, but I don't really see that personally.
And that's why I wanted to bring it up, because it is something that people don't often see in others. You know, we hear all the time, like when something tragic does happen, people are always like, how did I not see the signs? And it's like, you can't.
Yeah.
You really can't. Nobody, for the most part, unless you have anxiety and you know what to look for, most people would probably have no clue that I have anxiety. I have anxiety in it manifests in a few different ways. For me, going into new social situations where I don't know what like if I go to a new place with people I don't know, I get very anxious.
Yeah.
Like not crippling anxious, but like I draw back, or I do the opposite and I put on like this extra boastful persona, which is why everybody, if you are like, all of Jess's friends did not like me when she met me, because I like put on a front to meet them. That was like, oh, look at me.
Mechanism, yeah.
I'm here. You're me now. But like also I'll draw back in a lot of ways. And then my anxiety doesn't really manifest as much during the day, but it really manifests at night. So like I have a really hard time going to sleep. I have a really hard time staying asleep because my mind is constantly racing. And it's affecting my life just because I don't sleep well. Like I can sleep 8 hours, never straight. I'm never sleeping 8 hours straight in my life. Probably have never done it once. Like really, like I just haven't.
Yeah.
I've never gotten a good night's sleep. Every time I wake up, it takes me an hour to wake up because I didn't sleep well the night before. Like throughout the day, I'm tired. Like my physical, like no matter how hard I work out, like I never get like the endorphin high that people talk about, just because my body doesn't have any, like it's out of endorphins. It's been stressing for the last day. Like if I have something to look forward to, like the thing I was telling you about before the podcast that's coming up this week, I will not go to sleep tonight because I'm going to be thinking about that.
Yeah, sure.
And there's no way I can stop that. Like
Just the thoughts that keep you up at night. Yeah.
My doctor was like, shout out to him, because I always thought you had to go to like a random person for it. Like not a random person, I shouldn't say that. You have to go to like a specialist to get treatment for any type of thing like that. I guess medicine's evolved since I was 16, which was the last time I was on something like this.
Yeah, I'm sure that's true.
I just went to my primary care physician. He was like, how you sleeping? I was like, not good, doc.
Not good.
I'm gonna be honest with you. And he's like, okay, let's explore that a little bit. And we just kind of like talked it through. And he's like, I know I didn't have a good experience previously with the pill that I'm going to be taking.
Sure.
But also I was 16.
They give you the same one?
Yeah.
That's
I was
kinda
16
surprising.
on a much higher dose
Yeah.
than I should have been on. So blame my first doctor for that. I'm on like a quarter of what was originally prescribed to me 12 years ago, actually. And he's like, if it doesn't work, give it 3 weeks. 3 weeks, it'll be in your system. If you hate it, if it's not working for you, we reassess, we go a different route.
Yeah.
We find a new plan of action for you. And for me, it was incredibly relieving to hear that my doctor cared about that. And like, even he gave me the option. He was like, if you don't want to do it again, if you absolutely do not want to, go to something else. But I want you to know that I have a tremendous amount of success and my patients have a tremendous amount of success with this pill at this dose.
Okay.
And so I'm willing to give it a shot.
Yeah.
I know my brain works differently now than it did when I was 16.
Which makes sense, yeah.
So, yeah, I'm medicated. I'm going to be medicated again. I'm not medicated yet, but I'm going to be medicated.
Is it a good idea to have that after you've been drinking on the podcast?
Didn't tell me not to.
The first time he takes it, just like have a terrible reaction because you've been drinking.
No, they said it. I'm on like a half dose even of the already small dose for the first 4
Okay.
days, and then I jump up to the normal dose from there. But they didn't tell me. I am very honest with my doctor. They said,
Yeah.
"Do you drink?" I said, "Yeah,
Every week.
at least once a week, maybe 2, sometimes
Yeah.
4. I don't know. Things get weird." He was like, "Do you do anything else?" I was like, "I eat some things sometimes that I buy from a special store." And he was like, "Okay." And I was like,
Yeah.
"Do I need to watch out for anything?" He's like, "Yeah,
Okay.
probably fine.
That's
Okay.
interesting. Yeah.
Works for me." So, yeah, I'll report back. You guys will see next week. If I have any similar reaction to the way I
Yeah.
had last week, I'll have no emotion on next week's podcast. But
It does surprise me because, like, I don't know if your drug specifically or whatever categorizes as an SSRI, but
I actually don't know.
I think people that have those types of medicine, if you have a bad reaction to it, and a lot of this is me speaking from like ignorance and just like, vague recollection of certain things that I've heard. So take that with a grain of salt. But like, if you have a bad reaction to one of those, I feel like from what I've heard that it's not like the dose per se. Maybe it is, but it's like you might just have a bad reaction to that type of medication. But that doesn't mean like a medication won't work for you. But these are like, they're like enzyme altering drugs, right? So, and I don't even know if that's the right word. I feel like I'm like probably going to say some stupid shit when I'm trying to talk about this, but it's like, you're manipulating the chemical balance of your brain, right? At the end of the day. And when you're trying to do things like that, like not everybody's going to respond the same. So I think it is a little strange to me to hear that your doctor's going to, try to put you back on the same one. But like you said, maybe it was a dosage thing.
It is an SSRI. Per clinical studies of this, the effectiveness does vary based on dosage. So,
Oh, okay.
according to
Well, I
this
mean,
article,
effectiveness, sure, but I'm thinking more side effects, right? Like some people take those and have just like extreme reactions, like not good,
I'm gonna Google this now. We're gonna send myself down a rabbit hole.
Yeah. But like, yeah, I have like people in my family that I think, there's like some people that suffer from depression and some people that have like some severe like crowd anxiety and stuff like that. And it's like, I don't think any of them really talk about it, to be honest with you, unless they've been drinking, then they might like, spill some opinions about it. But so there's like somewhat of a taboo that still exists about talking about those things for specifically like older generations, I think. But these people, like on a daily basis, you probably wouldn't know what's happening behind the scenes for them. So it's good to try to like be honest with your doctor about things that you're experiencing and try to deal with those types of things. Because most people, even when you know someone really well, you might not ever know that they're suffering from those issues.
Exactly. So I found a meta-analysis from the National Library of Medicine. This SSRI, the side effects do tend to show up higher in higher dosages, but the dosage that I'm on is actually half of the traditional recommended range. So the range is typically up to the recommended range is 50 to 100 milligrams. I'm on 25.
Okay.
And I'm starting out on 12 and a half. So I'm sure that's got to have
nice.
something with it.
But they're
Because
like,
I looked back at my chart. I don't know if you guys have that out there, but for our medical grouping, the medical organization that we use, it's called My Chart. You can basically look up all your past test results, notes from every time you've ever gone to the doctor with them, that kind of thing. And so I went and looked back at my old dose, and it was 100 milligrams is what I was originally prescribed.
So like
and I
put
was
you at the max end of the
yeah. They just said fuck it, give this 16-year-old kid the highest dose of
Yikes.
SSRIs that we can.
That might be. I mean, truly, this might be a product of the fact that like
Doctors are smarter now.
they just didn't.
They didn't care.
I don't want to say that they didn't care. I just feel like there was like a lot of ignorance on the topic in previous generations of people. And like, you have like a 60, 70, 80-year-old doctor that's like,
He
you've
was
got
that old.
depression bullshit. Just fucking suck it up. That kind of like mentality. And it's like, I think they just didn't understand for a long time, people that have these types of chemical imbalances, for lack of a better way to put it. And I think the medical standard for dealing with these types of issues is probably better now than when you were 16. If I had,
100%.
you're talking about over a decade now, right? So
Dude,
it's like, in 10 years, the medicine for this has to have gotten
even
better.
just like how different, physicians and everything handle like anything related to mental illness. Like I went to a therapist when I was 16 who basically just said, you're going through puberty, so you're hormonal.
Yeah.
That's why you're having these issues. And I'm like, yeah, maybe, but like there also could be something wrong with me.
Yeah.
And he like would not even consider that to be a thing. And it threw me off.
Yeah.
Like it put me off of therapy for so long because of how negative that experience was. And that's detrimental for a lot of people too. Like other people with way more severe, like I wouldn't classify my issues as severe in any way, shape, or form anymore. But like if somebody was having like really severe depression, anxiety, whatever, like an experience like that could like really fuck you up.
Yeah. I think it'd be good to have like the girls on sometime and talk about like revisit this topic essentially, because I think they're like for women, the experience a lot of the time ends up being like a doctor just going like, that's just a woman problem or whatever, and they like try to connect it to like, hormones surrounding like menstrual cycles and stuff like that. And they're just like real cunty about it. And they're like, you're just having your period, you're not depressed. And like just really fucking dumb month, shit ladies? Like that. Yeah, exactly. And so I think women probably experience a lot more adversity when it comes to getting help for these types of things than men do. I could be totally wrong. But from some of the stories that I think I've heard from women that are going to try to seek treatment about these types of issues or whatever, it's they experience a different type of adversity like in a doctor's office than men do, for sure. And it's
100%.
I think it'd be interesting to have that perspective on the podcast as well sometime. But I don't want to try to speak for them by any stretch of the imagination. So it would be interesting to bring them on and have that conversation.
I'll get them on.
Same thing with like, like birth control and stuff like that. It's like trying to find something that doesn't just completely destroy the chemical balance in your brain, because they do. They have like a lot of them are hormone based drugs, and they can completely just fuck you up. So it's like, oh man, I feel for women in the adversity that they have to go to try to deal with the different types of opinions and assumptions when they go to like a doctor's office that men just don't have to deal with.
Yeah, 100%. May is Mental Health Awareness Month, so maybe we'll bring him on in May.
Yeah.
It's a good time.
Good time to do it.
But yeah, that's my topic. And everybody now knows that I'm going on an SSRI. So
you are indeed. No shame.
None at all. If you guys need help, get help. That's what it's here for. It's what it's there for.
All right, you went serious, so I'm going to try to go light. Because I have a mixture of things that I came up with today. So how much time do we have? 12 minutes? This will probably take that much time. Okay. I am not what I would define as a spiritual person. I don't really think that that's it's interesting because this will come to a point eventually, but it's interesting because a lot of the, there's like things that I like different, like sort of like, I wouldn't even call them like mental health trainings or anything like that, but there are like trainings about like developing yourself as a whole person that I have to go through at work all the time. And one of like the aspects of you as a human, a lot of the times they refer to as spirituality. And they try to disconnect that word from religion a lot. Like even if some people are spiritually like driven by religion, they try to disconnect those two things and like make spirituality like its own thing.
Yeah.
And even when they do that, I'm like, I'm not a spiritual person. Like I don't, that vocabulary doesn't really exist for me mentally. Like I just I don't think that's a thing for me. And sometimes the way that they define it makes it seem that, anyway, my point of this is I don't believe in this thing that I'm about to bring up, but theoretically, if I were to believe in reincarnation, it's interesting to think about what would you like to be reincarnated as if that was a real thing?
It's a good
So I
question.
gave you a long preface to this to basically say that I don't believe in reincarnation. So theoretically, if you were to be able to do that in a next life, or however you'd interpret that, what would you come back as?
It's a really good question. I have thought about this before, and my answer changes frequently.
Yeah.
I think I would want to be reincarnated as another person.
Okay. Just why?
Because the way I view life, the meaning of life to me, it's experience. It's being able to experience things and being able to understand what those experiences are and not to like dumb down the intellect of an animal. But like, I don't think they understand things the same way that we do. Like their consciousness is very different than ours. I think that's kind of accepted for a lot of species of animals anyway.
Yeah.
But like,
Some more than others, yeah.
and there's just a certain level of autonomy that humans have that animals do not.
Uncle Kyle's had $1 bill.
Respect it. You're always going to be.
I think I know what he's gonna. I'm gonna ask you why, and you can type it out. But I think I know what you're gonna say.
I do too. But yeah, I think there's a certain level of autonomy that you get as a human, and a certain level of control over your life that you have as a human that you don't necessarily have if you're an animal. And there's a level of fear that animals probably go through, and that's why animals typically are more reactive in a lot of situations. But I think it'd be cool to live a different life too. Like if I got reincarnated as a female, if I got reincarnated as a guy, but a guy with different talents than I have, if I got reincarnated as someone who was gender fluid and I got to experience a lot of different parts of both sides.
Is your baseline assumption in this that you would have like you'd remember everything from your previous life
No.
or not? Okay.
I do believe if reincarnation is a thing that there is going to be some level of remembrance of a past life.
I don't even remember my own life.
I do. Anyways, but yeah, I feel like even just to have your consciousness continue, even if it just like ends and then starts again as a new person.
Yeah.
Like I think there's some level of like, even now, I don't remember not existing.
Well, sure. Yeah.
And if I'm a dog, like cool, I probably don't also remember that I didn't exist, but I'm also a dog. Like I could have a person who treats me, I could have an owner who treats me like shit and beats me and chains me up outside in the cold. Like I see some horrible shit with animals getting just abused and abused. And not to say that doesn't happen with humans.
I was gonna say.
It definitely happens with humans. But like, I feel like as a human, you have more control over what happens in your life. And you can make a lot more happen in your life and experience a lot more in 80 years of human life than you can in 12 years of dog life or 25 years of horse life or
So,
insert lifespan of said animal.
what if, because it's totally outside the bounds of your control, right? Like this is what you'd want to be, not necessarily what would be for you, right? So like, say you're reincarnated as a human, but it's the exact same human every time with just a different physical appearance, right? Like you are white male, blue eyes with a bun on your head, but just slightly different physical attributes in every single so like you're just reliving the same life essentially, you know, over and over and over again. And that's like your human experience, you know what I mean? Like it never changes because you're not getting like a breadth of experience is basically what I'm driving at. You're just having the same essential, like you're always in the Midwest. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
what if nothing ever changed? You're just reincarnated in this cycle of
I like my
never
life.
changing.
I mean,
I'm just planning to play the devil's advocate to that being your desire, right? Like, so
yeah.
because you can experience anything you want from any different perspective, and you would choose to do the human perspective again. So I'm just trying to kind of poke at that a little bit.
I would, yeah. Animals get eaten. People really don't.
Yeah,
That's one.
Well, you know.
I said really. Don't really. It really don't. But yeah, I think I would like pick humanity again because I like being a human, and I think that's really what it boils down to. And like,
Okay.
I could like being a lot of things, but I know I like being a human, and my
Yeah.
anxiety kicks in, and I want to play it a little safe and pick something that I know.
Okay.
If I were to be reincarnated as an animal, though, I would want to be a tortoise. I feel like they live really chill lives.
Yeah.
Or like a psychedelic toad, assuming I could get
Get
high
licked?
off of myself. No, just high off myself. If I could be if I imagine in my brain that psychedelic toads are just tripping 24/7.
Okay.
Like if that was my experience, that'd be pretty fun. But I'd also
Yeah.
like to be a tortoise that lives to be like 200 years old. That'd be pretty cool.
I do respect the fact that Uncle Kyle went for like an object as opposed to like a life. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, it's a different perspective on the question, right? Like of
Yeah.
how would you want to be reincarnated? And most people would assume that's tailored to like a life and not inanimate object X. Because yeah, I mean, it's interesting. He did say, imagine seeing the cycle of a life of what different people will do for money and to see how much or how little that means to them. So yeah,
Damn, that's a good answer. Uncle Kyle's thought of this before.
as a dollar bill instead of like $100 bill, your experience would probably be vastly different if I had to guess.
Yeah, I might go $100. We'll meet.
I would probably go $100 bill, to be honest with you.
I'll go for a 20.
Maybe make it a 50, you know? Different lifestyles. Okay, anyway, all right, for me, I think it would be, and this is a tough one to kind of drive at too, but I think you said tortoise. I'm going to say sea turtle, which is what I've been thinking.
Pretty
and that's
close.
because I don't want to, I don't think that I'd want to do anything again on land, right? Because I've kind of like seen the earth. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like the physical aspect, the land-based, air-breathing aspect of this already. And so even though I wouldn't like remember it, I think it'd be like vastly different to experience your entire life underwater.
True.
Or, you know, for the most part underwater. I pick a sea turtle because I think turtles are cool. But you know, you could, you know, name X thing that's underwater that lives for a really long time. Like it could be a manta ray or, you know, whatever. There's like plenty of different things that I think would be neat. But just to be something that's reincarnated into the subsurface level of the planet Earth and experience that, because a vast percentage of the Earth is actually water, and most people, if you don't scuba dive or snorkel or anything like that, you never experience that at all.
Yeah.
And so there's a whole different like aspect to life that exists outside of the eyes or study of most humans. So I think it'd have to be something oceanic for me to be able to see that completely different biosphere, if you will.
Yeah. The ocean scares me though.
I think that's the right word. Anyway, the ocean doesn't scare me. The ocean has scary things in it, but I think there are just as many scary things on land. You just don't think about it. Like,
But that's what scares
getting
me.
eaten by a shark is probably,
I'm not
I'd have to look
scared
at the
of that.
statistics, would be,
It's so unlikely.
it's like being afraid of being eaten by a lion. You know what I mean? Like, it's just probably not going to happen.
But what's scary to me about the ocean is how much I don't know.
How much do you know about the jungle? You know what I mean? Like,
If you dropped me in a jungle, I could figure it out. If you dropped me in the ocean,
that's true.
I would have a significantly higher chance of survival if you dropped me in a jungle.
That's true for literally everybody on this planet.
Yeah, that's why I'd pick a jungle.
But that's because of your human like needs.
yeah,
Like because of the like
That's why the
your
ocean
chances
scares
of
me.
survival in the ocean are so much lower than if you were anywhere on land. Probably. I think that
And
might
now
not be
you
a 100% accurate statistic, but I feel like it's probably true. Because it's much harder for you to find food, there's not drinkable water, like all of those different things like are aspects of the ocean that don't connect with humans. But I'm just saying like you don't have those fears if you're reincarnated as something that exists within that environment. Like they're all salt water or fresh water, you know, obviously depending on, I'm talking ocean specifically. So saltwater creatures that don't have to worry about drinking water, right? Like that's not what they're worried about. They're not worried about breathing air for the most part. So, yeah, you don't have those same like anxieties and fears in the ocean that you would as a human.
true.
They go away. That being said, you also probably don't want to be something like so low on the food chain. Like you don't want to be
Yeah.
like a
I literally Googled best
seahorse.
predators on Earth to see if I could pick something on there. If we're just talking like pure fun experience of a new like incarnation of myself, I'd probably go for like a Komodo dragon. I feel like that'd be pretty sick.
I feel like any lizard might actually be really fucking boring.
I don't know, man.
They don't really do anything.
If a human was put into being a lizard people, they take over the government. And this is the conspiracy theory segment of
you
the
wouldn't
podcast.
know anything about being a human. No, I think.
Oh no, then let me fine.
For me, it's got to be underwater or above the earth, right? So like, I either need to be flying, right, or swimming.
Yeah. Fuck that Komodo dragon. I want to be a falcon.
I think being a bird would be pretty fucking legit.
Yeah.
If I was gonna have to pick something that's like very insignificant, I would be a fly.
I would probably go with a squirrel.
Squirrel would be pretty tight.
Squirrel would be pretty fun, I feel like.
Dude, I've always really liked you think about things as like, I wish I could be a fly on the wall in that room, so I want to actually be the fly.
But then you don't understand what's going on still because you're in.
But I have to be able to understand language.
I'm a fly, but this is very specific.
I can't do anything with my knowledge, but I understand.
But I know what's going on. I just forget it in half a second. It's fine.
Uncle Kyle also said eagle. His would be the bald variety. Very American of him.
Saw some bald eagles the other day. I was pretty surprised by it.
They are. I just saw something recently on the internet that said bald eagles population has recovered like to the point where it's like
almost not endangered anymore.
They might not be. I don't know. I'd have to look at where they fit on that scale now. But the dude that posted a picture of his like porch, and he lives somewhere like where it was like in the woods basically, and he had like 5 bald eagles on his like balcony in the middle of nowhere. It's like shit.
Now that I think about it, though, this isn't the first time I've seen bald eagles in the last year. I've seen them like 4 or 5 different times.
It's more common probably in your area than mine. I don't think I've seen one out here. But anyway, they have been protected a lot. Uncle Kyle, yes, that was intentional. Bringing them back from endangered was intentional for sure. This has been another episode of Two Average Husbands. If you want to talk about who you'd want to be reincarnated as, or any sort of mental health topic, or any of the other things that we talked about in this episode, feel free to reach out to us at our normal locations of number 2 AVG Husbands on Twitter and Instagram. You can hit us in the DMs on either of those if you so choose, or just tweet us or whatever. You can find us streamed live. If you're watching right now, you're probably doing so on YouTube. We are also on Twitter, and then you can find us on Twitch. But if you want to comment live and chat with us as we're discussing things, offering topics or whatever, you can do that on YouTube and Twitch. You can't do it on Twitter right now. And you can also join us in the Two Average Husbands Discord channel, which is very underutilized. It is a great place to be able to do this chat real time with us. And we are in there. I promise I'm in there right now. So if you want to talk to us, you can do that there. Jake, you can follow at Perry_FF. And I don't have social media at all anymore, other than the Two Average Husbands accounts, which I do monitor. So I think that covers everything, other than you can also, if you want, the best way to do this podcast with us is video. Like, I have no doubts about that. But if you're a listener to podcasts and you like to listen to the things that we talk about, you can also do that on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, blah, 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 all of those places. We're all over the place. So that's all I have to say. Jake, what's up?
Kyle covered most of it, as always. Kyle never got into his second beer, so I'm going to ask for your first rating.
I did.
Or you did rate your beer.
I did. Yep.
You did. I'm going to rate my second beer. This one was better. 4.25. This was delicious. That's why I love this brewery. They don't go wrong.
4.25. That's
Kyle
good.
covered pretty much everything. We are available on every major site. If you want to see us drink anything, let us know or send it to us. We'll get you addresses or a PO box or something. If you want to send us something,
We don't
check
have
out
a
the
fucking
links.
PO box.
Check it. We don't. We definitely don't have a PO box. I just said that for the memes. Check out the link tree in the description. You find that on everywhere that this podcast is available, except for YouTube. I never update our YouTube descriptions. Now that I think about it,
We also need to update the link.
Yeah, we should update.
We're
the
eligible
link.
for that.
We are. Oh.
Ooh.
Check out the link tree. Everything is in there. If you guys like craft beer, sign up through our Tavor link to send us some free credit so we can get some free beer. If you buy beer, we get beer. I get beer, but I'm going to share it with Kyle because I'm a nice person. But thank you for tuning in. We will see you all in next week's episode. And as always, don't forget to tell somebody that you love them.
Peace.